Register Rock, Impossible Meaning for the Inscriptions. Hello and welcome to Hare Investigations. I'm your host, Enrico. Today we're going to be discussing Register Rock. We're going to start on the top side and what each of the inscriptions could possibly mean. This inscription, it either says Mary 2 or Mary L. I think it says Mary L and it's referring to Mary Linton, Arthur's old girlfriend. You do meet her in about 2 or 3 missions during the game, and you also see her at Arthur's grave at the end of the game. 8 BD8. I think it's the way this inscription is actually supposed to be laid out. And this is the UTF-16 Unicode, meaning question or interrogate. J.V. Henry, 1842. Joseph E. Henry, who was the first secretary of the Smithsonian Institute, a founder of the American scientific community, and a pioneer experimental physicist in electricity and magnetism. The oscillatory nature of a condenser discharge in association with self-induction was first discovered by Joseph E. Henry in 1842, but his work has been somewhat overshadowed by Faraday's. Dortha, Ohio. The only info or reference of Dortha that I've been able to find at this time is a vague reference from Star Wars. Dortha is not a real place that I know of. Dortho was a human male who served as a weapons vendor in Mos Eisley and Tatooine for the reconstituted Sith Empire during the Cold War. However, the spelling is with an O, not an A like on Register Rock, so I highly doubt those are connected. ORW 153. All outstanding resource waters are a subset of high-quality waters. This supplemental classification is intended to protect unique and special waters having excellent water quality and being of exceptional state or national ecological or recreational significance. Revision 153 is one of the last revisions done to the outstanding resource waters. This standard was the base that helped start modern animal and environmental protection programs. J. Brooks, U.S. Post, 1863. Jimmy Brooks was a resident of the town of Blackwater in 1899. This would suggest that Jimmy Brooks passed through this area in 1863 and may have worked for the Postal Service. You encounter Jimmy Brooks in a quest early on in the game, and later on can find a poem about him in the Strange Man's Cabin. J.M. John Marston. John Marston was born in 1873. In 1885, at the age of 12, Marston had been caught stealing in Illinois. Dutch Vanderlyn stepped in and saved the young boy. John was thus inducted into the Vanderlyn gang. He's in the gang during the main story, and he is a playable character during the epilogue. He's also the main hero of Red Dead Redemption 1. A. West. Adam West. Adam West was an American actor known primarily for his role as Batman in the 1960s and performed voice work playing fictional versions of himself in several TV shows. I believe this is a reference to the great actor. Oregon Wagon Train. Jasper Munson, 1882. From the early to mid-1830s, the Oregon Trail was used by about 400,000 people traveling from the eastern U.S. to the rich farmlands west of the Rocky Mountains. The trail was still in use during the Civil War, but traffic declined after 1855 when the Panama Railroad across the Isthmus of Panama was completed. The first transcontinental railroad was completed in 1869, although some immigrants continued to use the trail well into the 1890s. In 1860, one of the worst massacres along the Oregon Trail took place in Idaho. It was called the Utter Van Ornum Massacre. The name Munson is part of this incident. Goodsill Munson, who was one of the few to survive. The only info that I could find for John Munson was a person that worked for Cincinnati, Ohio Post Office around the 1880s. He is, however, a descendant of Goodsill Munson. Hare Matilda Caliph. I don't know if this is actually referring to 2 people in the state of California and they were traveling there, but I did find another connection that I found to be what I wanted to go with, and that is that Caliph is a synonym for a person who rules or commands. Now, following that led me to Empress Matilda, who was the daughter of King Henry I of England, and she married the future Roman Emperor Henry V. BM with a square around it with a line on each side. BM, Bonnie McFarland, born in 1884. Bonnie is the daughter of Drew McFarland. The square and the lines represent the ranch, possibly the brand for the ranch. Doyle, Missouri. Doyle is an unincorporated community in Ripley County in the U.S. state of Missouri. A post office called Doyle was established in 1899 and remained in operation until 1916. The community has the name of Calvin Doyle, a local merchant. J.V. Henry, 1842. This is the second placement of this inscription. Are they trying to tell us something that we're just not picking up on? Dortha, Ohio. Again, this is the second time this is showing up on this rock. RSG 98. What in the world could that possibly mean? Well, anybody that plays Rockstar knows that that's Rockstar Games 1998. Rockstar Games Incorporated, the company was established in December of 1998 and has led to such great wonders as Red Dead Online, Grand Theft Auto, and many more. Crowley, Wyoming. Wyoming Territory came into existence by an act of Congress on July 25, 1868. Now this could be a reference to Register Cliff or even Independence Rock, both which reside in Wyoming, with Register Rock residing on the Oregon Trail and Independence Rock residing on the Immigrant Trail. But the name Crowley does come up at the same time frame. The Conestoga wagons were built by wagon maker A. Griffith and blacksmith wheelwright Peter Crowley. The Conestoga wagons had curved bottoms, which kept heavy loads centered and prevented them from shifting on rough roads. The wagons were typically used in the states of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and Ohio, although there are records of them in further areas as far as Wyoming. R. Mack, Otis, Massachusetts. At the time of the making of this video, I was unable to verify any information related to this inscription. Frank Heck, 75. Frank Heck is never met within the game, though there are details that he existed, and this inscription suggests he passed by here in 1875. Frank Heck was a gunslinger, but it is unknown what happened to him or how famous he was. However, since you can find a cigarette card in several books made about him, we can assume he was quite famous around this time. T. Bart, Texas. Now, as much as I tried to connect this to Black Bart, the famous gunslinger, unfortunately he was never in this area, and the only info that I could find that connected was Thomas Bartlett. Bart Whittaker is a former Texas death row inmate who spent nearly 11 years at the Pulaski unit near Livingston. Whittaker had his death sentence commuted to life imprisonment without parole by Governor Greg Abbott, the first time Governor Abbott had done so. T. Bartlett also established a writing program and won several awards for documents that he wrote while he was imprisoned. DOF WSF. The only info I have on this is actually from my old D&D RP days. DOF means Duel of Fate. When two players have a one-on-one duel, the loser has to leave the current game. WSF, we should flee, the first action statement given by the member of a group before a battle starts. WSF could also mean we should fight, which is the direct opposite, that the first statement of the battle is we should fight. Now, even with this answer, I'm still unsure of how much I support this. It could have a hidden meaning that only the creators know. WYB. A possible reference to the urban slang term meaning watch your back. B. Ward. William B. Ward was born in 1806 in Ireland. He immigrated to America by way of New Orleans. Once there, he traveled on to Texas to Bexar Colony. He traveled to San Antonio and was garrisoned at the Alamo. Sergeant William B. Ward was killed in the Battle of the Alamo on March 6, 1836. His remains were buried in San Fernando Cathedral. The Republic of Texas awarded heirs of Sergeant William B. Ward 836 acres in Lamar County, Texas, according to the records of 1851. A. Rickle, 41. Anita U. Rickle, born May 6, 1941, one of the leaders in women and child psychology and behavior. S. Gray, 1896, Scott Gray. Scott is a member of the wealthy Gray family and can usually be seen accompanied by Ian, one of his close relatives. Despite being related to Boo, both Scott and Ian appear to have a feud with him. You actually encounter Scott during a mission where actually you're helping Penelope and Boo try to meet during the women's suffrage. H. Pullman. At the time of making the video, I was unable to find any information about this. Otis Miller, 1879. Otis Miller was a legendary gunslinger, often associated with the Wild West, the leader of a gang of outlaws called the Otis Miller Boys. A number of details in the game indicate that Otis Miller is based quite directly on Jesse James. After the James Younger gang was destroyed, Jesse recruited a new gang, the James Gang, in 1879 and returned to crime. Both of them have a similar overall status as infamous, iconic outlaws of the Old West. Both have the same folk song dedicated to them, the real-life 19th century ballad Jesse James, with only minor variations in the lyrics to account for different name differences in the Miller version. Both had a son named after them who was arrested for a train robbery and subsequently acquitted. EMC 53, Electromagnetic Compatibility, 1853. In 1853, Faraday witnessed the catastrophic problems of signal delay in cable lines laid between London and Manchester by a telegraph company. He saw these troubles as a chance to publicize his theory of electromagnetic induction. James Clerk Maxwell was a Scottish scientist in the field of mathematical physics. He boldly reworked Faraday's model of electromagnetic induction into what would become known as electromagnetic compatibility. Maxwell is regarded as a founder of the modern field of electrical engineering. EP82, Hidden Inscription. I found this while making the video, a hidden name under the edge of the rock. It took a lot of crouching and pausing the video to make out that it says EP82. At this time, I have no idea what that's a reference to. And there you have it. All the inscriptions and what I think they possibly mean. I apologize, the video is so long, but Register Rock is a lot to cover in one video. Was my theories right? Are they wrong? Who knows? But it was a very fun adventure investigating all the different inscriptions and what they could possibly mean. Now if we can just figure out what the hidden one actually means.